I'd like the Filipino audience to view the opportunities in Bimpiaga from the Bruneian lens, from the Malaysian lens, from the Indonesian lens, so that we're seeing that this is not just us. This is not just an academic exercise, but it's really there are it's a reality, and take it from the other side because this is what they need from us here. In the same way that these are the things which could benefit us from them. You've already spoken a bit about how consumer goods coming in from Sabah can be brought over to the Philippines, and so it's Malaysia exporting its goods, and the benefit decided would be to the traders of the Philippines, of the southern Philippines. Now, apart from seaweed, which you spoke of earlier, what other products do you see being welcome or being needed by Malaysia, your part of Malaysia, coming from the Philippines?
Coming from the Philippines, what I have seen, of course, is the seafood. You have great potential in seafood, which have not been very well marketed yet. I see a lot of handicrafts coming from the Philippines. And if we have buyers in Malaysia and a factory in Malaysia, if we can link up with the planters in the southern Philippines, then your coconuts. We have a lot of coconuts that you can come using the same pit or the same boats bringing the coconuts. Then you can bring back consumer goods. We have a shortage of coconuts that in Sabah that have constrained our production of coconut oil, virgin coconut oil, and so on. And you have a lot of coconuts in the islands around the southern Philippines.
Mr. Yong, the pandemic has obviously uh, upended a lot of things. It's changed the way we do things, and some of those things will just never be the same, for good and for bad. Now, what has changed for the benefit of BIMP Iaga over the last couple of years?
Last couple of years, not many things have changed in our favor. But what I can see in the southern Philippines, COVID itself have not benefited us. But what we have seen in the last 2 years in Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia is the central governments, your president, President Duterte, and your central government have put emphasis on development in the south. The Malaysian government and the Sabah state government have now become more proactive of what's happening in Bimpiaga. And in Indonesia, President Jokowi have, of course, just started building his new capital in Kalimantan. So these three things have happened in the last 2 years, but not as a result of COVID. It's just the national government now giving policy directions to this part of our three countries.
One lesser spoken about aspect of this whole 500th anniversary of Magellan circumnavigation of the world. One aspect of that, and one interesting jump off point, is that we can talk about what existed in our region before Magellan arrived. You know, when Magellan arrived, that gave his arrival gave rise to the Western perspective. So suddenly, the region was written about in the Western history books. But even before that, there was life, there was trade, there was culture, there was exchange. It's not as if somebody suddenly flicked on the switch and then hey, tara, here's the Philippines, here's Malaysia, here's Indonesia, here's Brunei. No, there was life and trade way before that. So you're right, and I'm glad that you're taking on this stance of really just talking barter trade because to me it is it's a creeping way in, you know, because you're just reclaiming. We're just reclaiming essentially uh, a birthright. We've been doing this for time immemorial, since time immemorial. So yeah.
Yeah, I think VMega allows for trading and connectivity, people-to-people relationship. I think it's a very natural part of our process. So we have to break down all these artificial barriers, which will eventually benefit everybody in this region. I'm not discouraged by the skeptics. The skeptics are becoming less and less. But for the people involved, the traders, for instance, the business people, the travelers, the ferry operators, the passengers, for the people involved, BMega is very real and it has a direct impact on their life. Brings down the cost of living, cuts down the traveling time and so on. So I'm confident that BMega will continue to prosper, and I hope your channel will be able to disperse more of this information to the rest of the country.
I asked that question about COVID and how it's changed things simply because of my own perspective of things. Generally, there are parts that have been not as badly affected by the pandemic, and that's why I think our countries are beginning to realize, hey, we've got to be able to spread our, hedge our bets, spread our opportunities more. At least that's the way I see it.
I like your observation that COVID have made the provinces and the local areas to look more after themselves, especially in the agriculture, food production sector.
Yeah.
I think what happened in our case is, of course, public gatherings have stopped, schools have closed, tourism have stopped. But by and large, the rest of the economy goes on. Okay? So I like your observation that the COVID era have made us become more self-sufficient and more self-reliant and look after ourselves in the absence of massive traveling and interaction among the people in the whole country and among countries. I think that deserves more consideration and more attention.
I saw on your social media page that you actually conducted a vaccination mission among Indonesians living, if I'm mistaken, this was in the Jensan area. So,
Yes,
am I to take it that you have that many people of Indonesian descent or Indonesian citizens actually living in that area?
quite positive, yes. Thousands of Indonesian citizen or Indonesian descent living in the area of Jensan and surrounding. Not only Jensan, also in Tupi, in Pulau Malok, in Gelan, in many cities in southern part of the Mindanao. Not to mention the Balut Islands and Sarangani Island. There are also 1,000 Indonesian there living harmoniously with the Filipino. I think I already mentioned to you that the mayor of Balut is half-bred of Indonesian, meaning the mother is Indonesian and the father is the Filipino. Mayor Virginia Kawa of Balut Island. So if some of the Indonesian don't want to have vaccinated, then we explain to them, you should have it. It is for your own benefit. It is not for us. Even though there is a condition that they're a little bit afraid because some of the people has been vaccinated, then all of a sudden they died. I said, if you don't have any problem with sickness or other thing, then just join the program of the government. Then we encourage them to have it. And last week when I was in Jensan, some of them reported to me that almost all of them now has been vaccinated, not only with the second dose, but also some of them now having the booster also. We try to convince them, not only our people in Jensan, but also in our people in Davao City or other places that they reside.
If it's okay to ask it, and if it's okay for you to answer, how did a number of Indonesians or people of Indonesian descent, how did they come to settle or live in the General Santos Sarangani area?
All right. Well, as a matter of fact, it is not only Indonesian coming to Mindanao. People of Mindanao also coming to Indonesian. So there are thousands of, we call it PPDs, Philippine of people of Philippine descent. It is those are living in Indonesia, or PIDs, people of Indonesian descent living in Mindanao area. If I'm not mistaken, there are almost 4,000 Philippine people of Philippine descent living right now, whether it is in Tahuna or in Manado or in Bitung or in the surrounding area. Compare with them, Indonesian PIDs, people of Indonesian descent, are more in living in Mindanao. There are around 15,000, so about 1/4 of the PPDs compared to us PIDs in Mindanao. Well, when I visited Sarangani Island, I found a tomb of PIDs with the mark of 1905. So this person died in 1905. So with that proof, even when both our country, the Philippines and Indonesia, has not been, become the countries, the movement of those two people from Indonesia to Mindanao or from Mindanao to Indonesia has already been happening. They said that this is the way of their ancestor visiting to each other through the sea. So some of them just have relations, I believe, whether it is like a family, big families coming from the same tribe. And the beauty of this, both whether Indonesian coming to Mindanao or Filipino coming to Indonesia, they are accepted with a very warm welcome by whether it is Indonesian or the Filipino. So they enjoy living or visiting their brothers and sisters, whether and at the time there was no countries actually dividing them as Indonesian or the Filipino. And they visited there, they reside there, they make a living there, and even the intermarriage are happening also. So like your president always said that between the two countries, it is really a blood brothers. It is happening between the PIDs and the PPDs in terms of our people living in Mindanao or your people living in North Sulawesi province of Indonesia. So it is there already, and they keep on coming. They keep on coming. You cannot halt them. No, you cannot come. They just bring their own pambut, and sailing for about 8 hours. Actually, from Balut Island to the Marore Island, it takes only 2 or 3 hours by pambut. They are already in different countries, and they are happy doing this. And we cannot stop them because they're just coming without a proper documentation, most of them. But again, it happens. So we have to, consider it as a gift, I believe. It is not a problem because, again, they are interconnected to each other. Only the countries, the modern countries right now, that separate them because some of them become the Filipinos and some of them become Indonesia. Back to you, Wing.
Thank you very much, Consul. It's such a pleasure always to talk to you because it's you always find some positive thing to say about about certain things. I love it. I love it.
Well, I'm quite positive that we are brothers actually.
We certainly are.
I mentioned to you before, many people just look like you in Indonesia. Or even myself, if I don't wear this batik, you will say that I am your pare coming from, where is it? From Jensen or from
Well,
other places.
well, Consul, I consider you already. I will call you Consul, but I will consider you by pare also. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Thank you.